It's Roy, Anthony, Southern Soul.
Do you want to hang out with the hottest Southern Soul star in the country? Well, here's your chance to win a meet and hang with Roy Chip Anthony in Charleston. You'll get to enjoy a luxurious 5-star hotel stay Labor Day weekend, 2 concert tickets with all-access passes, and transportation to and from the event. Plus, you'll get to choose between a round-trip plane ticket or a $500 gift card. To register, all you have to do is follow at least 3 of Roy Chip Anthony's social media accounts and email a screenshot to mohitsweepstakes@gmail.com. That's MOHITZSWEEPSTAKESS@gmail.com. Don't wait. Register today and get ready for the best weekend of your life. Labor Day weekend. We'll see you in Charleston with Roy Chip Anthony. This is the G Podcast with your host, Tommy B.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 190 of This is the G Podcast. Yes. Yeah, thank you for coming back, y'all. It's hard to believe we're only like 10 episodes away from episode 200. Wow. Let me give it up for that. You know, each week we do news, politics, pop culture, that piping hot tea from the one and only Tonya B. And in this week's episode, Cheeto Jesus and his 18 disciples surrender in Fulton County. The Newsmaker crew is myself and political analyst Harold Michael Harvey, and we will talk about it this week. Byrdwire on assignment. Shy Talk this week, season 6, man, episode 4, re-up. Watch out, Pastor Stanley. Man, I can't believe it, but what's going on? But a whole lot to talk about in Shy this week in Shy News, and Tonya B's back with the tea. Thank you so much, as always. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining us for another week. Let's get started. What you got in news, Syracuse, Mike?
News team, assemble!
It's time for the Week in News with Syracuse Mike.
Former President Donald Trump's bond in Fulton County will be $200,000. According to several media reports, that's the amount agreed to by Trump's legal team and Georgia authorities. He'll only have to post $20,000. Part of the deal requires Trump to not intimidate witnesses in the case. On August 14th, Trump and 18 others were indicted on state racketeering and conspiracy charges for allegedly trying to steal the 2020 election. All of the defendants have until Friday to turn themselves in for booking. John Eastman, former President Donald Trump's former lawyer, was booked into the Fulton County Jail on conspiracy and other charges Tuesday. He's often referred to as the mastermind behind the fake electoral effort. Outside the courtroom, Eastman told reporters,
"My legal team and I will vigorously contest every count of the indictment in which I have been named, and also every count in which others are named."
According to prosecutors, it was Eastman who put together the plan to pressure former Vice President Mike Pence into rejecting the official Democratic electors in Georgia in order to replace them with alternate electors who would support Trump. When asked if he still believes the election was stolen from Trump, Eastman said,
"No question. No question in my mind."
Trump, one of the 19 indicted for allegedly trying to steal the 2020 presidential election, is expected in Atlanta on Thursday. Donald Trump was booked at the Fulton County Jail Thursday after being indicted on RICO charges connected to the 2020 election. Sheriff Pat Labatt said Trump would be treated like any other defendant. However, the former president was in and out of the Fulton jail in a little more than 20 minutes. Far shorter than the hours most people endure when being booked at that jail. When he arrived, Trump was fingerprinted and required to take a booking photo, a mugshot. And when it was released, as expected, the former president started circulating the photo himself via social media, including for the first time in years on Twitter, now known as X. It will no doubt be used as an ongoing fundraising tool. After being booked, Trump's motorcade headed back to the Atlanta airport to head home. And before boarding his plane, he told reporters,
"He did nothing wrong at all, and we have every right, every single right, to challenge an election that we think is dishonest, that we think is very dishonest."
Several more people indicted in the conspiracy to overturn the Georgia presidential election turned themselves in overnight in Fulton County. This comes hours after Donald Trump turned himself in and became the first former president with a mugshot. There were a number of other developments in the case on Thursday, including a filing by the DA to move the trial date up to October 23rd of this year. A judge signed off on the motion, but only for one of the other defendants in the case.
Thanks, Mike, for the headlines. Yeah, Newsmaker crew is here. Actually, we've got the political analyst, Harold Michael Harvey, in the building. Harold Michael Harvey, how you doing today, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great today, Tommy V. How are you today?
I'm great, and I can't get away without doing this for you, always.
I appreciate the applause. You just let me around much.
I always got to give you your flowers, your applause, given to you. Give them to you now. That's what we do. That's what we do.
There you go. Have to be appreciated while you're still here. Yeah.
Absolutely. And let's go straight into it, Harold Michael Harvey. Historic week. It is we're just ahead of, as we tape the show, the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington. And what happened in Fulton County this week? Historic. Give me your thoughts. I'm just going to throw it right to you. Let you frame this.
Well, historically, what we saw in Fulton County this week was the first time that a former American president had been indicted and turned himself in and mugshotted by a state government. Let's then go back 60 years ago. The country was a very segregated country. There was many places that Black people could not live in hotels if they traveled through out the summer. There was restaurants they could not go into and eat. And so the guy over my shoulder here, C.T. Vivian, received a letter in early 1963 from Dr. King, and King invited him to come to work for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference because they wanted to help Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth in Birmingham in the Birmingham movement. And so Vivian agreed. He went up and he organized that Birmingham movement. And after getting that organized, King put him in charge of the national affiliates. The Southern Christian Leadership Conference doesn't have individual members. It has affiliate chapters. So Vivian's job was to organize civil rights groups in the various communities throughout the country, organize them so that they would appear on August the 28th, 1963 at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. And, it is reported that 250,000 mostly Black Americans appeared at the Lincoln Memorial. It could have been undercounted, and maybe there were a few more than 250,000. But juxtapose that with 60 years ago, Blacks were fighting for equality. And then this past week, we see a former president of the United States of America being indicted for trying to lead a coup to steal an election, from a candidate who had democratically won the last presidential election. So where we were fighting so hard to get into the system in 1963, we've got a president who was indicted in the state of Georgia, for trying to overthrow the government.
So you have three. I guess you'd say you've got three different insights or three different observations, and I'd love for you to share that.
Well, one of the things we saw this week when the former president turned himself in, he came to town with an agreed upon $200,000 bond. And there's several ways that you can post a bond. Number one, you could bring $200,000 in cash, pay that cash into the registry of the court, and the court will hold on to your $200,000 until the trial is over. And so if you appear every day to court when you are required to appear, at the end of that trial, whether you're found guilty or not guilty, the court then cuts your check for the $200,000 that you paid into the register of the court. He could have done that. He's a billionaire. He could have done that. He didn't choose that option. The other way is that you can post a property in the amount of $200,000. Now, one wonders why the former president, who is alleged to be a billionaire, didn't put up a property. You know, you got Mar-a-Lago. Surely there, even if it's encumbered, there's probably $200,000, they're available that could have been squeezed out of there. You've got the place down in New Jersey, Westminster. You've got Trump Towers in New York. None of his properties did he put up as collateral. So you could post a collateral, and the same thing happens. Appeal to trial is over with. Whether you're found guilty or not guilty, you get the deed to your property back. You take the deed, put it into the register of the court, clerks hold on to the deed, and when it's all over with, you or there at the end, you get your property back. Then the third way is that you can post 10% of the bond amount. You can pay a cash. You can pay 10% in cash, which in this case would be $20,000. And it is reported that the president brought $20,000 and paid it to a bondsman, and the bondsman then took $200,000 and gave it to the court to assure that the former president will return for trial, and every day the trial is, every day that he is supposed to be in court. And at the end of the process again, whether he's found guilty or not guilty, he doesn't get the $20,000 back. So this billionaire paid $20,000 to bond himself out of jail. Why did he do it?
Drop in the bucket.
It's a drop in the bucket. And so let's say at the end of the process, he's found guilty, and judge then says, okay, come back in a month and we'll set sentencing. So if he decided he wanted to run, what does he got to lose? $20,000?
Yeah, he'll and by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, but the GOP's paying the freight. They're paying the bills.
GOP is paying the bills for what?
For his legal defense.
No, they're not. He's raising money for his legal defense.
Right, but my point is, all the money he's raising, which should be going toward the campaign, is, when he's out there asking for money for legal defense, it's money that.
That's his money. That's not the GOP money. Each candidate raised their own money, so the money he's raising is his money. It doesn't go to the GOP coffers and come back to him.
But I want to make a point. If you are the GOP candidate, which he is the lead candidate right now, okay, your candidacy is dependent upon the money you raise. And if you are soliciting money at the point of what are we, just over a year ahead of the 2024 election, at this point, most candidates are requesting money toward their campaign, not toward their legal defense. So every dime he gets toward legal defense that doesn't go into the campaign hurts the GOP. So that's my point. I get what you're saying. It's not money that's being spent by the GOP.
I don't understand how it hurts the GOP.
But it hurts the GOP. Let me tell you why it hurts the GOP. And this is just my opinion. Okay. I know I'll give it to you for, your view on politics, but I'll say this. What I watched or what I saw of the recap of the debate is a waste of time. It's a waste of time because if you are a candidate and running for the presidency of the United States, president of the United States, but you refuse to denounce the incumbent, then it's a waste of time. If you refuse to say I'm a better candidate than the incumbent, then why are you running? So my point is, he's going to win the primary. If he loses a case, or if he goes to jail, then maybe he won't win the primary. But then again, you got to debate that. because people are asking, it's amazing to me in America right now. We're asking, can you actually be president with a conviction? What? Are we even asking? We're trying to debate whether or not a president can run the country from jail. Where are we? So my point is this: when I say he's wasting the GOP's money is time. Time is, and right now, the money that he could be collecting toward his campaign to run ads, for volunteers, it's all going to him. It's all going. I mean, yeah, okay, I get it. You're absolutely right. It's his Trump website. It's his merch. It's all that, but he won't even sign a document saying that he'll support whoever wins the primary. He won't even sign that.
He doesn't have to, and in such a strong position in that party that he didn't have to spend any money to campaign.
Right, so, I got you, but it's a good faith. It's in good faith. So if I were him, I mean, if I were at the head,
he's not a person of character who has any kind of good faith in him.
But that's my point. Let me. You said it. Okay, that's the point. Mm-hmm. The point is, the GOP has. How do you say it? They have tied their wagon. They made a deal with the devil.
That's what they did.
They can't get out of it. Period. They've lost all power. So I'll throw it back to you. I just wanted to make that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I understand.
Okay.
So that's the bail bond situation, and where were we?
Well, yeah, we talked about the bail bond situation. Also, one of the other things I want you to get into is the mugshot.
Mugshot. I mean, this is the first time in all of the other indictments that he's had this year. This is the first time he was required to have his mugshot taken and have his fingerprints made. And I have to applaud Farney Willis and Sheriff Labatt in Fulton County for not allowing him to weasel out of having his picture taken in his hand and his fingerprints made, just like any other citizen who is charged with an offense in Fulton County, Georgia.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100% on that. And I think I saw an article, may have been Politico or The Atlantic, where folks were saying, well, he's going to benefit from the mugshot and all the haters, basically in the face of his haters. But it's not about him. It's about the office. It's about the presidency. Ultimately, it's about the country. Yeah, Trump wins maybe by making money on the mugshot, but the stain he's placed on the office of president is forever. I just believe, from here on out, we're going to have to find the right candidate to turn this ship around, because the presidency with him in office or him having been in office is forever stained. And I'll throw it back to you.
Well, he's put a stain on the office just by his presence and his behavior the 4 years that he was in the office. And that's his record. And so nothing wipes away that record. The country, I don't know when you say we have to find another candidate, I'm not looking on that side for a candidate.
Oh, no, I'm not saying, I'm not looking from a GOP standpoint. I'm looking from a candidate, whoever's in the office going forward. I know where our loyalties may stand, in terms of party. But when it comes down to finding a candidate who can right the ship and at least get us back into talking about issues and not their individual legal problems, we have to get this thing back on track. We've been in Nixon world too long.
Well, the little view that I had of the debate, the Republicans would be smart if they would select Nikki Haley and Tim Scott in that order as their ticket, at least you would get two sensible, reasonable people who can talk about the issues. Now, there's virtually nothing that I agree with either one of those candidates with, but at least they are sensible, reasonable people who can debate policy issues that affect the country. Going this route of the former president who has been indicted 4 times and then was impeached twice when he was in office. The only thing Donald Trump can do, if his political career is not ended, it will end democracy in America as we know it. Another Trump term in the Oval Office will bring in what some people call the New World Order, but who would have thought that the New World Order would have been brought in by a character such as Donald John Trump? But if his political career is not ended, the democracy and the ties and alliances that this country has around the world will be forever shattered, and it will take a long time to get it back on track again.
Yeah. And I'll say this, and I agree with you on Nikki Haley. I completely disagree with you on Tim Scott. If anybody, I think you're going to have possibly I agree with Nikki Haley, and even though he is a radical within the party right now, if anybody, I think it's going to have to be Chris Christie. But Tim Scott, and it's sad. Here's a sad thing about, and I'm not saying this because you chose them both, but they're both from South Carolina, which is not the model state you want running the United States. Because it's almost like if you took all the policies from Florida and made them national policies, we'd be in trouble.
Wait a minute now. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that's a winning ticket or that should be a winning ticket. But I think if you got two people who you look at what was on the stage.
Yeah.
That was nothing on the stage, and the only two people on the stage that made sense were the two people from South Carolina. Christie is just he's about grievance. His whole aim is to knock Trump off, and Trump, and that's probably is an honorable thing to do. But when you talk about people who have been at the federal level and worked in government at the federal level, those are the two people who can articulate the concerns of the country better than anything else that was on that stage, including the former vice president. I'm not far from me to tell the Republicans who they should pick on that ticket. But I think if they want to get their party away from Trump and back on solid ground so they can begin to rebuild the party, that would be the group that they would need to work with to do that. Christie couldn't do that because he's got grievances. The other Indian candidate can't do that. Honestly,
he's a shock candidate, if anything.
Right.
If you talk about, people talk about left wing, he's far right. And the other thing, and I'll say this because I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on the debate. You've got much more to say, and things that are more sensible than spending time on these candidates. But I will say the GOP debate's a waste of time. And as long as the candidates aren't willing to denounce Trump and they're willing to go along with him and out, excuse my language, kiss his ass. If you can't debate, if you can't tell America that you are better than the incumbent, then why run? He owns them. Well, I'm not saying the incumbent, but the former GOP, the former Republican president, because the incumbent is Joe Biden. But I'm just saying, if you can't say that you're better than Trump, then you shouldn't be running. They're afraid to denounce him on stage. The only people who are not afraid is Asa and Christie. Those are the only two. The only time that Nikki Haley stood up was when she challenged Trump on his fiscal spending, on his spending. That's the only time she really attacked him and went in using his name. But and it doesn't mean I'm not saying he will win the presidency. I mean, honestly, I don't think I think Trump's legal issues are insurmountable at this point. I don't think he'll win he can't beat Biden at this point. It's Biden's election to lose. It is at this point. But what it does mean when I hear Christie attempt to make a stand against Trump, I think he is making an attempt to move his party back to sensible ground so we can have real conversations about the two parties and differentiate the two parties. That's where I think Christie, when he attacks Trump, is attempting to do, but the country is so brainwashed and gaslit right now. There's no moving away from it. And I'll give you final thoughts on this, on the whole Fulton County situation and the debate. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that in order for the Republican Party to recover from Trump, somebody has to go out and beat up on Trump. Somebody just no. I'm not saying beat up. All I'm saying is, if you can't win against the guy in the lead unless you differentiate yourself and say that you're better than the guy who's leading. As long as you keep saying he's a great man, he was a great candidate, and he's 60 points ahead of you, I mean, what chance do you stand on beating him? So you got to differentiate. And these guys aren't willing to differentiate themselves because they're afraid. That's my point. My point is not just to go out, but honestly, you gotta say something. You gotta differentiate yourself. If you're not going to differentiate yourself from Trump, then why even run? Why run? Well, I guess it comes down to your earlier comment is that the Republican debates are a waste of time.
It is. It's a waste of time. And it's a waste of time.
At this point, it's a foregone conclusion that Donald Trump will win the Republican primary and will be the Republican nominee. So all of this is just entertainment until we get to next summer this day.
Yeah, but I think if they're going to do it, you know what I mean? If you're going to do this, then do it. Give yourself a chance. You know what I'm saying? At least.
You can't help them. They're too afraid to give themselves a chance.
I'm not trying to help.
They're stuck where they are.
I agree. Hey, we love your thoughts. Go to Castropolis.net, choose the people poll. Again, Castropolis.net, choose the people poll. Leave us a voicemail. I'm gonna let you close this. I'm gonna give you the final word. I'm going to give you the final word, Harold Michael Harvey. HaroldMichaelHarvey.com, by the way, HaroldMichaelHarvey.com. Go there for all things Harold Michael Harvey. Go ahead, Mr. Harvey.
Pick up a book when you go there, too. I've written 5 books. Pick up one of them and help me out a little bit. But in any event, there are 2 other things. I'll be as quickly as I can. There are 2 other things I noticed from this week. Number one, the day before Trump turned himself in, he changed attorneys. He changed from Fulton to Steve Sadow, and Steve Sadow is one of the state's outstanding attorneys, no question about it. But his reputation has been built not on his trial work, but on his ability to negotiate a favorable outcome for his client. So it causes me to question this moniker that Trump came out with after he walked out of the Rice Street jail is never surrender, because he's hired an attorney who is skilled at negotiating favorable terms for his client, which tells me that at some point in time, it suggests to me that Trump may seek a deal before this process is finished. And if that is his strategy, he brought on the perfect attorney in this state to negotiate a favorable outcome for him. So, number one, Watch that down the road. Number two, on the bond issue, watch down the road whether or not he turns himself in if he's found guilty. And number three, the third thing that stood out in my mind was that a group of people in the Black community, as the Trump caravan rolled through ML King, you had young, poor Blacks standing on the sidewalk chanting, "Free Donald Trump, free Donald Trump, free Donald Trump." So this cult of personality that he has used to infect rednecks and poor whites, he has been successful in reaching down into the Black poor who have been left out of the system by the two parties in the past, and they feel some kinship with Trump now that he's had his mugshot made. Many of the people, I would imagine, who were on that sidewalk cheering him either were or knew someone who had their mugshot taken over at Rice Street Jail. And so it sort of makes them feel like they're just like Trump. And so what possibly could happen here is, I don't know if Trump or anyone on this group of people who call themselves niggers for Trump, if they are in a position to organize that community and get the vote out. But some you gotta watch that, because young disaffected Black people are chanting the Trump mantra. And I was surprised to see that this week, but that's the reality in which we're living in.
Yeah. Go to HaroldMichaelHarvey.com. Again, HaroldMichaelHarvey.com for all things Harold Michael Harvey. Again, thanks. The news crew, our typical news crew, is not here. The Newsmaker crew, Talib and Vi, are on assignment this week. So we appreciate you, Harold Michael Harvey, for stepping in. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes,
and
sir.
Let's take a break and we'll come back with the tea from Tonya B. Again, thank you so much, Harold Michael Harvey.
Have a great day.
More. This is the G Podcast after the break.
Hey, everybody, what's up? It's Tommy B from This Is the G Podcast. We are now halfway through 2023. And if you've been thinking about starting your own podcast in 2024, I'd love to have a chat with you. The Castropolis Podcast Network is currently accepting new shows. And if you have a clear vision and a unique voice, let's get in touch. Reach out to me at info@castropolis.net or visit the website castropolis.net. Simply click on the Contact Us button. So go to castropolis.net, click on Contact Us, and just leave me a message. I'm Tommy B from This Is the G Podcast, and I can't wait to help you start your very own podcast journey today.
Now then, children, it's time for tea.
It's tea time, y'all. Sippin' the tea with Tonya B.
Yes. It's me. It's your girl, Tonya B. So it is time to sip this G Podcast tea right here on This Is the G Podcast. Let me just get right to it. I got a lot to tell you in a little bit of time. I want to say congratulations to Serena Williams and her hubby, Alexis, for the birth of their second baby girl. Do we see a future play date on the horizon? Rihanna just had a baby boy. I said it was a girl, but it's a boy. So Serena's got two girls. Rihanna's got two boys. And then don't forget, Sierra's got her little bundle of joy due later on this year. And speaking of Sierra, she's now an entrepreneur. She owns her own independent record label, and she dropped an album, and it's got some gems on it. I got to give it to her. She went for, those of y'all that want to do mumble mouth rapping, she got Lil Baby. Then for those of y'all who want some real R&B, she gives you that. And she also has a duet with Chris Brown. Let's talk about Halle Berry. Now, it's been almost 10 years since the dust up and split up with her third husband, Olivier Martinez, the father of her son, Maceo. Do you know it's been 8 years and that divorce just got finalized? Much like her daughter's father, Aubrey, whatever his name is. Anyway, Tommy B, she's got to pay both of them $100,000 a year in child support and take care of all the education, the medical, all the money for their activities. And even though Olivier signed a prenup, you know what? She still got to pay him another 4.2% of any income she makes over $2 million. So inquiring minds want to know, will she marry her current boo thang, singer Van Hunt? I say, Halle, don't do it. Relationships are cool. Marriage does not work for you. So I hope she does the right thing. Okay, Nia Long, I guess she feels she's doing the right thing because she has now filed for full custody of the son she shares with the disgraced Messi, former NBA coach, former former Celtics coach. Now he's somewhere in Texas, Ime Udoka. And if you want to know why Kevin Hart's in a wheelchair, here is why. He tore up his lower abdomen trying to compete with a professional athlete doing a 50-yard dash. So, Kevin, you shouldn't have tried it. Get well soon. And Tommy B, do you know it's been 50 years since Marvin Gaye dropped the iconic song and album, Let's Get It On? Yes, it has been 50 years. Well, his estate is releasing a special deluxe edition of that album with 20 additional songs. And there's this new singer named October London. They're calling him the rebirth of Marvin. How about we just get a rebirth of R&B music? Now, I got to wonder, how is R. Kelly's last remaining, whatever she calls herself, Joycelyn Savage, able to live? Because that stash money is running out, baby. Now, any money that R. Kelly generates from music royalties, a judge has ruled it must go to the victims who were part of his sex abuse situation. Anyway, after that Lifetime expose, radio stations stopped playing R. Kelly's music and many songs he wrote for other people like Michael Jackson, and so many others. And I wondered, the fact that the money's going to these sex abuse survivors, I wonder if that changes people's minds, because a lot of people just shut him all the way down. I'm one of them. Anyway, the dumb donkey of the week, Tommy B, has got to be this judge that has denied a restraining order and protection to rapper Big Sean and singer Jhené Aiko. They have a new baby. This stalker that they have broke in their home, and the judge said, nope, no restraining order, no protection. What has to happen before they get protection? Let something happen, I think that judge will be sued. Also getting sued, the creators of the streaming show P-Valley. They're being sued by singer Nikki Gilbert of Brownstone. Remember, If You Love Me, Say It, and Grapevine. Well, she says they stole her idea, and a copyright expert agrees with her that her play Soul Kittens Cabaret very closely resembles P-Valley. So time will tell, and we will see. Oh my goodness. With this whole thing about these boy bands, it's really kind of jacked up. I got to say that, because now NSYNC and Justin Timberlake just announced that they are going to be reuniting for the first time in about 20 years and releasing new music. Now, all the other pop music boy bands, that is, from back in the day, have jumped on the bandwagon. The sad part about it, the R&B male groups, the R&B boy bands, have not had that same opportunity, and I just want to say, what's up with that? I also want to close on somewhat of it's a concerning note. Now, those of us of a certain age remember in the 90s when a singer with a voice that has yet to be matched came out of Metro Philadelphia, multi-talented, multi-octave range. Her name, Rochelle Farrell. Now, she sang backup for everybody from Lou Ross to Patti LaBelle and Phyllis Hyman, and worked with Quincy Jones and then some. She had a minute where she was the it girl. Now, she's most well known for her duet with Will Downing, Nothing Has Ever Been This Good. Now, she's one of those singers, Sangers. And the thing about a lot of artists, when they don't work, like with COVID, the money stops. When you get sick and you have no medical insurance, it becomes a huge problem. So let's just send prayers up for Rochelle Farrell. A GoFundMe has been started to help cover her current health, wellness, and life-related hardships. And that's really, that's sad. If all these artists that she sang background for and people she put on and whatnot put some money in the pot, she wouldn't have a problem. But a lot of people, when they're struggling, they don't want to talk about it. So if you just Google the Rochelle Farrell Fund, you can donate. And again, this is a sad reality for so many R&B artists, and we wish her all the best. That's all I got. Ain't got no more. It's your girl, Tonya B. We sip this tea each and every Sunday right here on This Is the G Podcast. And if you happen to miss it, go to the website, but go to the YouTube channel. That's where the fun starts. Go to the YouTube channel and check us out. All right, y'all. Have a great week. Labor Day is next weekend. Can you believe that? The unofficial end of the summer. Be kind, be safe, and do not discount what the CDC is saying about this new situation with the COVID, y'all. We do not want to dial it back and spend Thanksgiving and Christmas in the house. All right, that's all I got. Ain't got no more. All right, it's back to you, Tommy B.
What you watching this week, Tommy B?
Thanks, Tonya B, for that tea. Let's do some Shy Talk. Episode 4, Season 6 is re-up. And you know, the beauty of The Shy is that creator Lena Waithe utilizes different directors to craft the vibe of each episode. And this is an episode of discovery. Duda discovers the feds are onto him and his grip on the city may not be as strong as he thinks. Emmett and Keisha are discovering adulting ain't what it's all cracked up to be. The men of The Shy make a discovery in the men's circle that there's strength in numbers and that they can talk through their problems. The boys continue to grow. Papa and Kenya make contact. Jake is developing his business chops. Kevin, well, we just don't know yet. Lastly is Pastor Stanley in peril. We've been talking about who's going to get off first, and boy, he came in strong as the lead this week. I'll just leave it at that. Good to see Candy Burroughs return as Jocelyn, and Jill Marie Jones of Girlfriends fame makes a steamy, and I do mean steamy, debut as Duda's new girl, Bianca. So many layers to this show. By the time we get to the midway point, episode 8, expect several bombs to drop. I welcome your thoughts. Hit me up at castropolis.net. That's Shy Talk for the week. I'm Tommy B. Let's take a break and we'll come back with the people poll from one of our listeners.
Hi, this is A.G. Hatcher Jr., and I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and happy to be in our nation's capital today commemorating the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington. As Reverend Al Sharpton says, we're not just commemorating, but we're continuing the march for social justice, voting rights, equal rights, the thing that Dr. King led and fought so hard for and ended up paying the ultimate sacrifice. It is wonderful out here to see such a diverse group, and the cause is needed now just as much as it was 60 years ago. So our work is not done, and I'm happy to be part of this day.
Thank you so much, AG, for sharing your insight on the people poll. Thank you for your thoughts. Don't forget, you can share your thoughts at castropolis.net. That's castropolis.net. Go there and just hit the people poll button. And as always, big thanks to Syracuse Mike, Tonya B. Vi, Talib, author and political analyst Harold Michael Harvey. Thank you so much to the crew, Millennial Nick, Lady J, Regia, music by K-Dub, all those who help make it happen every single week. And, every Sunday we do our taping and we go live at 6 p.m. With the results. 6 p.m. You can stream us first. Links in our social media in the bio. Go to castropolis.net. Don't forget, y'all, share it with a friend. Don't cost you nothing. Don't cost you nothing. Just go ahead and share it. My PSA for this episode, sadly enough, our prayers go out to our friends in Jacksonville, Florida. As we tape this episode, in the middle of taping it, an individual with disgusting ideology of hate, some say that doesn't exist in America, walked into a Dollar General and gunned down 3 black people. Just another reminder as we celebrate the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington this week that the U.S. still has a long way to go. We do. And with that, episode 190 is in the can. Have a great week. Peace and power to the people.
You've been listening to the G Podcast with your host, Tommy B. The G Podcast is a production of the Castropolis Podcast Network. Thanks for listening.
It's Roy, Anthony, y'all ready? Southern Soul.
Do you want to hang out with the hottest Southern Soul star in the country? Well, here's your chance to win a meet and hang with Roy Chip Anthony in Charleston. You'll get to enjoy a luxurious 5-star hotel stay Labor Day weekend, 2 concert tickets with all access passes, and transportation to and from the event. Plus, you'll get to choose between a round-trip plane ticket or a $500 gift card. To register, all you have to do is follow at least 3 of Roy Chip Anthony's social media accounts and email a screenshot to mohitzsweepstakes@gmail.com. That's mohitzsweepstakes@gmail.com. Don't wait. Register today and get ready for the best weekend of your life. Labor Day weekend. We'll see you in Charleston with Roy Chip Anthony.